concepts to go over here today regarding Infinity. We've got the physical component, which are primarily the figurines that I'll go through, and then we also have the software, and we've got a few different things to go into that with some videos to show. So jumping into those figurines, the primary way you're going to start playing Infinity is you're going to buy the starter pack. In that starter pack, it's going to come with the 3 different figurines that represent those 3 different franchise games that we're going to have. But then we're also going to have a couple other pieces. We're going to have what we're calling a playset piece, and this is where you actually choose which world you'll go into to have that true-to-property experience that John was talking about in the playset. The next thing that we will then have is we've got this idea of these, we call them power discs. There's 2 different shapes of these. There's round ones, and then there's also these hexagonal ones. These hexagonal ones allow you to actually add extra toys to your toy box. The round ones allow you to give your characters different buffs and different abilities when they're playing as well. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But the primary way that you'll work this is you'll take that figure, you'll put it onto the reader, and then that will actually teleport that character into your game so that you can play with your favorite characters in those experiences. So the next piece that we'll have then is the software side of it. So into the software, there's 2 big components that we'll get into in a bunch of videos here in a second. The playsets, once again, are true-to-property experiences, and by that we mean that we will not allow you to necessarily, or to take any character that doesn't belong into that world in there. You will never see Mr. Incredible go into Pirates or vice versa. So those ones will all stay true to property for the fans that really want that experience in that world. Then the next piece that we've got is the toy box. Now we do allow everything to come in there. So there's virtual toys in all of, so the whole idea behind this is all of these things are virtual toys throughout the entire game. We go ahead and unlock those toys out of the playset to bring individual toys that are specific to each playset into the toy box so you can mash those together and find out all the cool different kind of things that you want to do, and that's where you get into that idea of in the toy box you're going to be telling your own story there. So we'll dive into these in a little bit more depth right now. So we'll start off with the Incredibles playset. So the Incredibles playset, we worked with the team at Pixar to come up with a little bit of an alternative ending to what might have happened, and this might have been instead of going and taking Jack, Syndrome just unleashed some more chaos onto Metroville. So we have in each of these playsets, let's go ahead and roll video here, this idea that it should be aspirational to the player who wants to play in there. And for us, that means feeling super heroic in this playset. As the Incredibles, you need to be in different circumstances that only a superhero can solve. So that's got to be dangerous circumstances, but it's also got to be going up against the enemy that you've got. And in this case, like I said, that is Syndrome. So we went through, and when we were designing the combat system for this, we knew that we had to have each of the powers that each of the Incredibles had, and that they needed to really be able to show those. So Bob needed to be incredibly strong. Mrs. Incredible has to have her stretchy abilities, and the combat system needed to reflect that, but so did the way that they move around the city. So they go along the rooftops, and they can do things that only superheroes can do. Dash is obviously in need of a super speed, and so he hits multiple times anytime that he goes up and does a combo. Violet has both of her powers, both defensive, but then we took those force fields and worked with the guys and made them a little bit more offensive too, so that she's actually a very strong character within the game. So whoever your favorite Incredible is, you're going to be able to play them the way that you want to. Now the other characters that you're going to be in this world, you're going to want to interact with all of the mission givers that we have. So we've got Edna Mode, Rick Dicker, and Mirage actually comes along to help you out and to defeat Syndrome in this world. So we created this idea of your superhero headquarters here. Now, back to this idea of play your way, we always want to put a big building element or a nurturing element in every single one of the play sets. So here you get to build out this headquarters, you build these buildings, you get those out of your catalog, you can customize them in any way that you want to, and you can also then play with these buildings. They all have buttons on them, they're all designed as toys to be interactive, so that when you're playing with them, it's actually fun, and you can then take these same toys back into the toy box as well. So we've got this idea of the catalog. Once again, virtual toys in every one of these to where you'll go ahead and unlock these different toys. We've got 4 cool different gadgets in the Incredibles that you can unlock. You've got the Incredicar, you've got this glide pack that you have, but all of these are true to property experiences here, but then when you take them into the toy box, you can put them onto different characters, and those characters can equip them and play with them in any way you want to. And that's where we get that cool mashup feel of going through this. Now, this last bit on this video is just going through and saying all of these games are multiplayer. So we're showing this in split screen mode right here, but all the play sets are. The idea behind this is to allow you to play with your kids or have your kids play with their friends, and that this is something that's really important to us, is that in virtual play, we want you to be able to play together as easily as possible. Now, we won't show those videos on some of the next ones, but they all are multiplayer as well. So to go into then Monsters. So with Monsters, different idea here. This is Monsters University, so it's a prequel that will be coming out this summer to Monsters Incorporated. The guys here, this is a buddy film where we find out how Mike and Sully get together to become the greatest scarers at Monsters Incorporated. So we worked with the team at Pixar to come up with something that's slightly different from the story of the film, and really blew out this idea that there's a rival school and that both of these schools are having their spirit weeks at the same time. So both schools are trying to outdo each other, and they prank each other back and forth, as well as then try to defend their own home turf. So what you're seeing here is some of the Fear Tech guys that come over to toilet paper your campus. The idea behind this is you've got to protect your campus from them, and then you've actually got to take the battle over to Fear Tech as well. So you'll be going back and forth in between these two places. We've also got all the characters that you would expect to interact with from the film here as characters that show up in here and help you in these quests to be able to defeat Fear Tech. Now, we've got this pranking system here with the college hijinks in mind. So we're setting it up here in Monsters University. We can primarily do this in Fear Tech. But you get some nice humorous moments out of this because, this game is much more about humor and customization than it is about, say, combat. We've got the idea that you can go customize and build your entire frat row area. You can make those buildings look like whatever you want, so this is an expression of your personalization in this world. So that stuff's all cool, but Monsters is really about scaring. So you can scare the students, but you can also use your scare in some unique ways to get things to happen in the Monsters world that are kind of cool and true to that property. So scaring in the day makes a lot of sense, but scaring at night is really where it takes on a whole new meaning. We like to control night and day in here, and then get different scare results out of those scares at nighttime. So back to the virtual toys that you'll bring in. Every playset allows you to bring in different virtual toys and gameplay mechanics from each of them. The bicycle mechanic with all the tricks and stunts is one of them from Monsters. We've also got the idea of mounts that we bring in from here. There's a key scene where you've got Archie the Scare Pig that Mike Wazowski rides through the film. Archie breaks a lot of stuff. We have that same ability. Now this is something we came up with more on our own, which is the toilet paper launcher, which allows you to take the toilet paper and go out to Fear Tech. So we sneak over to Fear Tech at night. They've got security guards out, so we'll put in an entire stealth system into the game so that you can go through. They have perception. They will apprehend you. They'll put you into detention. But the idea behind this is that college hijinks going back and forth and getting, I guess, a true college experience, maybe. So the last one that we'll go into is then Pirates of the Caribbean. So in Pirates, this takes place in the first three films, so it'll be against Davy Jones and his crew. And the thought behind this is, once again, it's different from both Monsters and Incredibles. You're really not the hero this time, but it is all about being a pirate and the freedom of the high seas. So we'll go into the video on this. We start off with, the shot of Davy Jones. This is going up against him. We've got a bunch of different enemies that you'll recognize from his crew, but we've also tried to make some new ones. Now, hopefully everybody here will recognize this as this is an actual homage that we've made to the ride as well as the movie series. So we really wanted this to feel like this is all things Disney, and we have an ability within Infinity to reach out and touch a lot of the things that are not just in the film, but are also in the theme park cruise lines as well. So one of the coolest parts about this is you'll be interacting with, from the film, some of the characters that you recognize, like Pintail and Rigetti. They'll help you go through and get Gibbs out of prison so that he can help you. We've added a really cool combat system that now fits this game as well. It's more about sword fighting here. You've got a flintlock that you can actually use. That's a little bit more in puzzling. So you've got many different enemies that you can combat with. You've got a bunch of different combos you can use against them. You've also got some other weapons that you can get to upgrade yourself, like these pirate grenades, and those kind of things that can be, once again, used both in combat and in puzzling throughout the level. But this game is really about your ship. When you think about being a pirate, you really need to get out onto the high seas. put a lot of technology into these boats so that you can run around on them, you can platform up and down them, but when you get at the helm, you can steer those around. 50% of the game in this is going from island to island and exploring all of these different places that you can go in the Caribbean. But then, we really wanted this to be able to, from that building mode perspective, build your ship and make it your pirate ship. This is all about you feeling like your expression of yourself. We have many different ship types, but then we also have all of your crewmen. So you can go through and customize all of your crewmen into different ways so that it really fits your taste and your style. Now, all of this comes down, that stuff's all cool, but it gets down to business when we start talking about the cannons that you're going to be able to upgrade to. So we really wanted this to feel like a toy, so it still flips over, but we've got a huge battle system that we've got going back and forth in between different ships. We're showing a few different types of the enemy ships right now. They all need to be recognizable from a distance so that you know how you need to equip your ship to go up and deal with each particular threat. Because we're a multiplayer game, I can be driving my ship while you can be running around on it and you can be manning these cannons on the deck. I'll be controlling the broadside, but you'll be controlling which specialty cannons we're going to bring to bear. So we've got a real strategic element that we've added in here of you could be on my boat or you could choose to be on your own boat and we can have two of us going up against another pirate ship and we can choose to go into battle that way. So this is a real, once again, an expression of playing your way is how do you want to do this, and that strategic element is brought into that. So the next piece that we have then is the toy box to go through. So the toy box is where we feel like we took that mode that we had in Toy Story 3 and we're able to blow this out into being as big of an experience as we wanted to. Once again, I'm going to go back to that concept of as you pull that toy out of the toy box and bring it into the playfield, you are telling a story as you build that. And the more people who are playing with you, you start building that story together. When we say we're doing something new for storytelling, that's where we feel like interactive storytelling at Disney Interactive is really going. So we'll start off the video here. The idea is, in the toy box, everything is editable. This world has all been built in the toy box. But we then do start, as we come back from playtest, we unlock toys. We also have the stars that we've earned that are essentially levels, and then those stars turn into these kind of spins on this toy maker. So if you think about this toy maker, there's many different categories, and it's the type of toys that you want to unlock in here. In this case, it's a vehicle that this person has unlocked. You can then go through and play with that toy, but it goes into your collection. This collection screen is pages and pages wide. There's hundreds of toys that we've got in here. And each one of them allows you to go through. Some of these come from playtests. Most of those come from the toy box itself and are all specific to that. But the idea behind this is let's go see who can get the biggest toy collection and bring all these things together to create what they want to do. So the next piece of this is the adventures. With the adventures, this is more of the structured gameplay that we have within Infinity. So we've added all of these, there's some tutorial adventures that we have. This is the first one. So we've got this pirate character who has a treasure map, but he can't get to where he's going. So he's going to need you to get him across this chasm and then actually to build the Cave of Wonders for him so that he can get into the mouth of this. This is how we go ahead and teach you all of the different steps to build in the game. Once you've done that, you get some upgrades, but you also open up all the other mastery adventures that we have. Now these other mastery adventures are going to teach you how to use the other systems in the game, like driving. We've got drifting and energy gain and big tricks that we have. But then we also go into the different gameplay modes. Like we have the physics blocks, because those act differently than a lot of other things in the world, to where those toys all work together in a different way. We also have combat that we're going to teach you how to do, where we've got Mr. Incredible rescuing Snow White here and keeping her safe in her snow globe from these attacking enemies. Once again, you finish those, and you'll now unlock even more adventures. Now, what this is showing is this really cool concept that we have that each of the adventures becomes themed based on who the character is that invited you in. This is the same adventure, but using different characters, and so it makes that theme of the world based on that character's world theme so that you get a different experience every time that you're playing this. The next big note I'm going to go through is building. So the building within Infinity we've tried to make it as simple as possible, but also as powerful as possible. We want you to be able to build really cool structures and things. Now what you're seeing here is we've got this idea of this magic wand that allows you to select any piece in the world that you've got, You can customize those pieces, you can move them, you can delete them, whatever you want, but there are literally hundreds of pieces that allow you to build this. So we wanted to make this easier so that people could get into it. We've made this blueprint mode. So this is a really simplistic example here with just these blocks, but the concept can then be extended into much bigger things like racetracks or islands or even building out castles if you want to. So we have all of these different examples of then you can start building some truly massive things like these huge guitars with rail slides on them. We've had guys go through and do things like Starship Enterprise. Now this next one's really cool to me because one of the QA guys went and tried to make Bowser's Castle from Mario Kart. And so you've got this game, he's built the whole track, it runs at frame rate, and you can race that with your friends. So it's cool to be able to build those things in those places, but one of the things that we really wanted to do was allow you to create experiences in here. We needed to give you some interactivity in this world as well. So in the creating experiences, we've got what we're calling the logic editor. Now the logic editor with a really simple interface is saying this pressure plate, I can either step on it or step off of it. The next thing I'm going to link it to will actually take that impulse and do that action. So I'm going to step on this pressure plate, it's going to make that elevator go up and down. It's a pretty simple example, but it actually gets into a very powerful system of these tools to where you can link things together and start making much bigger things. We can give you access to some of the different gameplay features that we have, like the gameplay camera being up above, or enemy spawners that we can put in the world, or different wind conditions, like we can put in race gates, and we can make games like from the arcade that we used to have. And each one of those things is only really limited by the creativity that you have and that you want to play with. So, now, one of the things that ends up happening a lot when we're playing in the toy box right now is this free play idea. And what that means to us is it's just going in and taking all of those different toys, mashing them together, and seeing what happens, just finding out what the discovery is on that. We've got a very rich move set in this game to where you can pick up and throw almost anything, but you can also go through and do stuff that you really didn't expect, like interact with the characters in many different ways. You can have things in your hands while you're riding different mounts, or you can be on the hoverboard. All of these different things are possible with this. Another cool way to play in this is to use these power discs. You can add new toys into the world by collecting these. So we've just dropped in Cinderella's carriage. We've also dropped in Abu the elephant. So by putting these onto that slot, you're going to get more toys. But you can also get what you're showing here, or what we're showing here right now, which is you can customize all the skies, you can customize all the terrain, so that each one of these worlds can feel like you want it to feel. And it comes from your favorite property, so that when you're building this, it is your world and your expression. So once you build all these things, now we really want to share them. So we've got this idea that from an online community standpoint, we will allow you to upload any of these worlds that you've created to Disney. We will then moderate those. Look, we'll actually also run contests like who can build the coolest castle or build us your version of Disneyland. And then we will send those back down to the user community and allow everybody to extend their gameplay sessions with those worlds that have been created by other people. The other way to share in here is through direct online play. It's 4-player network play, drop in, drop out, so that you can come in and out of anybody's world at any time. And I can invite you into my world and share that world that I've built as it sits while I'm playing there, and we can share our toys back and forth with each other. So that's pretty much what we've got today. There's a lot of information there. I'm looking forward to having everybody come up and be able to see this for real on stage. But we've got one more video here at the end of this just to wrap this idea up for some of the other cool possibilities that you can have.
is because at Pixar, Walt Disney Animation Studio, Disney Toon Studios, the three animation studios that I oversee, I know the amazing stories, new stories and new characters that we're creating. And this is now something to look forward to, is to bringing, the future to the Infinity game set as well. And so we'll be able to start creating, stuff that from all the future films as well as everything from the past. So this is really exciting for us. And look at the creativity that's here. I mean, this is going to be fantastic. And to me, if there's something we can do, is to promote creativity out there in families' homes. For all ages, because creativity is the foundation of making a better world, and I think this is really exciting.
I echo everything John said because he says it better than I do. Look, we are deeply proud of this, obviously heavily invested in it, and I think it goes without saying that we want to give a tremendous amount of credit to John, to his many of whom are the leaders are here, but it goes beyond Avalanche too. This truly is an initiative that cuts across every single person who works at Disney Interactive Games, and it goes beyond games. It goes to Pixar, it goes to our colleagues over at Consumer Products, all of our franchise managers around the company, studios, films. It literally touches everybody, and speaking on behalf of our division, we are just so grateful that the Walt Disney Company and all of its divisions have supported this the way they have. So again,
actually, if I can jump in there. It's off script.
Okay.
I really want to thank John particularly for being here today, and also for all the help that he and the guys at Pixar and Walt Disney Animation Studios have provided to us. This has been such a surreal experience to be able to work with some of the best creative minds in the world, and we're able to do some of these things for the first time. So I just want to thank him and give him a round of applause.
Just to wrap this up, we want to thank you all. There's so many people here. You've invested a tremendous amount